All right, we're live. Appreciate everybody for being here. Please make sure that you give this stream a thumbs up on your way in. I cannot overstate the importance of doing that. Please do that. Give it a thumbs up. God bless you all for being here. Thanks to everybody that's in the
She
chat.
kept saying she couldn't breathe.
We're having a
She just would
malfunction
panic
here.
because she said
Bear
she
with
couldn't
me.
breathe.
An Odessa mother speaking out after
We're
a
off to a rough
photo of her
start. Hang on,
daughter in
guys.
the ER goes viral. Tonight, she wants a change in procedure. Good evening.
Well, that got off to a rough start. I was not expecting that. I don't know, for whatever reason, this link just starts playing automatically. So I guess we'll just get this one out of the way because I don't want this disrupting the stream any longer. This is an update from a story that I reported on yesterday. And ironically, as I was reporting on the story, I said that local news had not picked it up at all. But during that live stream, a local news station out of San Antonio did actually cover the story where the girl was forced to put a plastic bag over her head. So I was going to cover this in the middle of the stream, but because this link, for whatever reason, is acting funny, we'll just cover it right now. So the hospital did address this situation because for a while it was just circulating on social media. Nobody said anything, which is why I was a little hesitant to put it out there and say this actually happened. It's real, because, you know, it hadn't been covered by any news, not even really any conservative news. I think it was just InfoWars. But anyway, this is a real story. And the hospital basically said that is their protocol and that they are, they're going to change it now, I guess, because obviously it makes no sense. I mean, when you think about it, you're going to cover somebody's face with a plastic bag, cover their entire head when they've already got low oxygen levels. I mean, you can't make that make any sense. But here's the little newscast thing from it.
She kept saying she couldn't breathe.
An Odessa mother speaking out after a photo of her daughter in the ER goes viral. Tonight, she wants a change in procedure. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at 6. I'm Crystal Cruz. It's our top story tonight. Medical Center Hospital confirms their staff put a plastic bag over a 16-year-old COVID patient's head, calling it standard procedure in certain instances. The young teen's mother says this isn't okay. Tatum Gwynn takes the story from here. Tatum.
Yeah, Crystal, there are a lot of questions here. We're told from the time that we are young to never put a plastic bag over your head, right? And then you see this. Medical Center Hospital calls it draping, and they say that it is standard procedure in some cases, including transporting a patient.
When have you ever seen that in a hospital? I'm not going to play this whole video. It's only another minute or so, but for them to call it standard procedure, when's the last time you've been in a hospital and you saw somebody being pushed down the hallway with a plastic bag just draped over their head? And they have an actual term for it, draping. No breathing holes whatsoever. She's already wearing a mask. I mean, you could show this to a 5-year-old and they'd be like, can that person breathe? Like, that doesn't look healthy. That doesn't look safe. I mean, they're already having trouble breathing as it is, couldn't walk. Clearly, she's in a wheelchair in this photo. This is crazy that they're calling this standard procedure. This is just what we do. And apparently that's out of an abundance of caution because of the virus, apparently. I don't know. Very, very crazy. But I'm happy that at least one news outlet reported on this. This, as far as I know, is not standard anywhere, not any hospital I've ever been in. And this hospital should probably go out of business if this is how they're treating people who already have a respiratory issue. Somebody that's already having trouble breathing, you're going to cover their face or their head with a plastic bag and make it more difficult for them to breathe. But remember, guys, this is all for your health. And this hospital in San Antonio, Texas, Odessa, Texas, apparently they know what's best for you. I'm just saying, you may want to pick a different hospital. Okay, now I got that link out of the way. I'm sorry for that. The way that this stream started, kind of weird. That link, I guess, just the video in there just automatically plays for whatever reason. So anyway, got that out of the way. This is what I wanted to open with. As the country burns around him, this is how he walks through the White House lawn when the media is asking him some pretty legit questions.
Mr. President, is it time for negotiations to end with Congress? Mr. President, can we ask you about inflation?
Mr. President, what's your message to Americans who are concerned about disruption of the supply chain?
Just walking by, just nothing going on. Let me not answer any questions. It's actually impressive that nobody's escorting him. So he just walks on over to the helicopter and just ignores the media. You know, for all of for the people that don't like Trump and they say he's so flawed, did he not stand in front of the press daily? He took endless questions from a hostile media daily. All kind of press conferences. This man refuses to take any questions, and the media isn't hostile towards him at all. They're trying to underhand questions for him. Only a handful of people actually give him tough questions. So even though he's being coddled and coached and he has cue cards and he still can't remember names and anything like that, the press has been so kind to him and he still won't take any questions. As the country is just falling apart, just collapsing, the puppet in the White House can't take any questions, casually on his way to get on the White House helicopter. I forget what they call it. Is it Marine One? I seriously can't remember. All I know is he doesn't need to be in it. This whole thing is a sham. Makes me sick. Now, speaking of sick, Bill Clinton is reportedly hospitalized for sepsis after suffering UTI. Here's what that means. It means, and this article just kind of explains what a urinary tract infection is. Now, what's interesting about this story is when the news broke, the headlines, almost every headline I saw included non-COVID related virus, non-COVID related, non-COVID. Like, who was thinking that it was COVID related anyway? Like, that wasn't the first thing that popped in my head. Actually, the first thing that popped in my head is, has he gotten a certain procedure? That's what I was wondering. I wasn't thinking like it's the virus. Now, the way that they reported it made it seem like they were trying to hide something. And like I said, I'm very suspicious of the media. I have trust issues with the media. I don't trust what they're reporting right away, especially when they're doing it in unison. And all the headlines are about the same. He's got a non-COVID related virus and he's hospitalized. But now we find out it's from a urinary tract infection and he has sepsis now, which is pretty deadly. Why couldn't they just report that? Why couldn't you just say he has a UTI? Is it because he's Slick Willie and it makes people think stuff? You know, UTI, I think one of the things that causes it, if you're not clean down there, you can get a UTI, but then obviously it's more common in people his age. And so, yeah, I'm not in, and let me say this too. I am not here to make light of him being in the hospital. I'm not wishing any ill will towards him. I'm not, because I don't want that karma. I don't want that negative energy on me. So even though he's one of the, I don't know if you could even call him one of the worst presidents, because I don't think the economy was so bad. Even though he's corrupt, even though he flew on that pedophile jet and lied about it, even though he harassed women, even though he's married to one of the most despicable humans on earth, even though all of those things, I still wouldn't wish death on him. I just can't. I know some people disagree. They're like, screw Clinton, let him die, let him rot. I'm not going to go there. So I'm not here to like drag him or say, he's stuck in the hospital. I'm just here to report on it and how the media has portrayed it early on. So it looks like he's got a urinary tract infection and they're saying he's on the mend, but I don't really know what that means because not every outlet is reporting the same status as far as where he's at. They're not saying like he's going to make a full recovery, and maybe it's just because they don't know, but nobody's saying he's going to be all right. Just a handful are saying he's on the mend. He's in good spirits. That doesn't always mean anything. So I don't know what's going to come of this since he's way up there in age. He's getting up there anyway, 75. All I know is this is, and this is why I included Hillary and Epstein, and because I can't think of him without thinking of her and Epstein. Buddy with Epstein, picture that, remember that painting? That's what I should have pulled. That's what I should have put in the thumbnail, just because the painting, the creepy painting with him in a blue dress that they confiscated from one of Epstein's estates, that was weird. So even though he's a former president, when I think of him, I think of Monica Lewinsky, think of his ties to Epstein, not anything he did good or anything he did well while he was in office, but the negative things, because that's who he is. The Clinton Foundation and the corruption, how they robbed Haiti blind. So they're up there with corruption as far as, I would say I'd put him up there with the Gates family and the Bushes. He's part of that establishment. So we'll see how this is covered. I'm curious how conservative media will cover this, because, I mean, Hillary's husband, I don't think he's as nearly as unliked as she is, but he's definitely up there as far as just despicable actions. And the fact that he denied that he visited that island. We know damn well he visited that island. We know damn well he was buddy with Epstein, just like so many other of these corrupt politicians and elites. They're all tied together. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. So it's hard to really give any real commentary on it. I don't really know what to make of this. Is it something else? I mean, it could be the UTI. It could be something else. It could be a procedure that he took. It could not. It could be the virus. We don't really know. Are they going to tell us the truth anyway? Is he implicated in something? I don't know, guys. I'm just throwing it out there. So Sick Willie in the hospital. And all I can say is, man, I don't really know if I can say, I hope he pulls through. I don't have I don't feel any type of way about it, but I'm not going to drag him. So we'll move on. And then I don't know why I had this pulled up. This was just reading about sepsis. This is from the CDC website, which makes it interesting that when they said it's a non-COVID virus, non-COVID, you didn't even have to say that. You could have said he's hospitalized with this. But they say anyone can get an infection, almost any infection, including COVID, can lead to sepsis. So sepsis, as I learned, I didn't know what sepsis was. It affects like 1.7 million Americans each year. And nearly 270,000 Americans die as a result. And it's basically an infection that stems from UTI. So, and other different viruses and infections that you have, and it can turn your kidneys bad, and then your blood can become toxic and you can die. So that's why it's like, I don't know what the status is for him, but sepsis sounds like a pretty serious situation there. Slick Willie. Now, this is actually funny. I could have even started with this. I don't know if you saw this latest Project Veritas video, but it is epic. I've never seen somebody just break out into a sprint when they get busted for a cover-up, for lies. So here's Project Veritas confronting one of Pfizer's senior directors.
Are you Vanessa? Vanessa Gelman. I'm a reporter with Project Veritas.
Vanessa Gelman, who works in Washington, D.C., is Senior Director of Worldwide Research. From Vanessa Gelman.
From the perspective of corporate affairs, we want to avoid having the information on the fetal cell lines floating out there. We believe that the risk of communicating this right now outweighs any potential benefit that we could see, particularly with general members of the public who may take this information and use it in ways we may not want it out there.
Why did you send emails telling Pfizer employees not to report that you guys were using fetal cell lining, miss? What else are you hiding from the public? Miss, what else are you hiding from the public? The public needs to know. Well, there you have it. We wanted to ask her a few questions. She broke out into a sprint. We really think that the public needs to know about the fetal cell lining email.
Sorry, I just want to see the run again. That's really why I wanted to play this, because it's just hilarious. Look, the look in her eye, that look of guilt, the look of, oh, snap, I just got busted. And then just...
Vanessa Gelman, I'm a reporter with Project Veritas.
Vanessa Gelman.
Just gone. She just books it. I don't know, was she on a walk or what? She could have just walked away. I don't think the guy was about to arrest her. I'm sorry. This is hilarious to me. Like, why are you booking it up the stairs and everything? I mean, I get it. you feel guilty, and you should feel guilty for not revealing what Project Veritas uncovered to the public. Like, wouldn't people want to know that? Informed consent? Now, see, this just casts more doubt on this medical procedure that they're trying to force you to take. When you have situations like this, they can't even come out and face the music and be like, you know what, James O'Keefe, they got us, okay? Here's the deal, America. Here's what's going on with our shot, okay? Here's what's in it. They can't be transparent because they're not doing it in good faith. So that's just more guilt right there. So while, yes, it's funny, I'm making light of this woman running, and then like she skipped some stairs when she ran up and then ran into her house as if she was being hunted down. It was really weird and funny. But what does that say about her? What does that say about the job she does? When she can't even take questions, she couldn't even walk away and be like, no, I'm not talking to you, or you can talk to my lawyer. She didn't even have like a nonchalant attitude. She was like afraid, legitimately afraid and embarrassed and ashamed. And she should be, because covering this up, something of this magnitude, and I'm surprised how is this not even talked about really anywhere? You don't, of the Project Veritas videos that come out, a handful of people are covering it, but then it just dies down. Nothing happens. Why isn't this going like super viral? That's what I don't get. Is you get these people, these executives, these doctors, scientists working at the CDC, working at the vaccine manufacturers, going on record, and I'm not going to go into it, obviously, but you guys can see the videos. You probably have seen the videos. These people are going on record and being caught on hot mics saying all of what we have been thinking and what many of us believe is true. And nobody's outraged about it. Like, nobody. It's basically the only people that are seeing this already think that, and it's just confirmed your beliefs. This was pretty much just confirmation. All the Project Veritas expose, while it's good, what is it leading to ultimately? All I see it leading to is the whistleblowers getting fired, and then next thing you know, they have like a GoFundMe or a Give Send Go set up, and nothing else comes out of it, which is the most frustrating part. But this is damning right here. You know, and some of the Project Veritas stuff is obviously good. When they caught that communist teacher, he got fired. So some things are good, but I mean, think about everything they uncovered with the election alone. We haven't seen anything come out of it, right? And not a lot, not just from this anyway. You had your audits and other things go on, but I want to see results at this point. The information's all out there. I'm really shocked that the entire, I think it's a 5-part series of explosive video evidence of fraud, of corruption, of deception. I'm surprised YouTube has left it up. That is wild to me. But this woman running, man, she headed for the hills. She didn't know anything. She had no idea what he was going to ask her. Actually, she probably did know, but she ran from it. So that tells you everything you need to know about these scammers in Big Pharma doing the devil's work. Now, speaking of the medical procedure, why does it make any sense for them to be testing and vaccinating animals? I don't get this.
2 tigers at the Denver Zoo have tested positive for COVID, and their keepers are not quite sure how they contracted the virus. They are the first animals at the zoo to have a positive test. Zookeepers say that Nikita and Yuri were coughing and sneezing, and they had little energy, just like humans. Keepers will treat the tigers the same way as us for COVID while they recover. Even though this is a unique case, the zoo is happy with how they're progressing.
She's doing well. She's doing very good and showing very little signs or symptoms. We do know that it takes a little while potentially. There's not a lot of data on this, and so we'll just keep monitoring, as we do anyways. We monitor the animals all the time for anything, and so we'll continue to monitor her into the future and make sure that she continues to do well.
The mild symptoms allow the tigers to still roam free, and they do not pose any health risks to the public.
Well, that's good to know, because I was wondering if I was going to catch COVID from a tiger. That would be my concern. Is that tiger well? Is that tiger going to get me sick? Imagine that being one of your concerns. Close enough to get sick from a tiger, and that's your concern. But man, this is weird too. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I remember even last year, right after Tiger King, remember that show on Netflix? One of the first animals that tested positive for the virus was a tiger. And I just thought, like, wow, that's kind of crazy. And now you got more tigers. First of all, like, why are you wasting tests and vaccines on animals? Louisiana Zoo animals are getting COVID-19 vaccine. I thought there was a shortage. I thought there were third world countries that haven't gotten this life-saving medicine, and you're over here giving it to orangutans and chimpanzees and snow leopards. And it just, how does this make any sense? And one of the people that's justifying it says, it's very important to us to protect our animals against COVID-19 and the Delta variant. Audubon's senior veterinarian Bob McLean said in his statement, we have been evaluating the scientific literature on animal susceptibility throughout the pandemic, and we are eager to protect our animals. I mean, someone say you could set them free if you want to protect them. I don't know. But just weird. And of course, California had to be the first zoo in the country, a zoo in Oakland, to give the vaccine to its animals, including tigers, black bears, grizzly bears, mountain lions, and ferrets. They're vaccinating ferrets, you guys. This is nothing's impossible in clown world. Nothing. No animal is safe or no human is safe, of course, until they get the life-saving medicine here. But what does this say about the entire situation when the focus is on animals now? So they're going to get boosters to animals too? They're going to go around every zoo and just find all the animals, the ferrets, the birds, flamingos. What, this makes no sense, you guys. It's so wicked too. Like, what are the long-term studies? We don't know what they are for humans. We don't know what they are for animals. Every animal has a different immune system. Leave God's creations alone. This is psychotic. This is beyond, whatever beyond psychotic is, that's what this is. They're so desperate to just, what are they going to vaccinate plants next? Trees? Nothing is safe. We have to, everything, just inject it into the ground. I shared a story like, a month ago about how they're looking at ways to grow it inside of food. Different foods, like leafy greens. They want to grow it in leafy greens and have it be like a food that you ingest. This is not healthy. Even in the article right here, it says the risk of animals spreading COVID-19 to people is low, according to the CDC, but the virus can spread from people to animals in some situations. So since these are animals in the zoo, humans aren't getting close enough to them for them to catch it. Not just people going to the zoo. It would be the zookeepers. And I'm willing to bet that every zoo in America requires all of their employees to get the jabs. So it feels almost like this just further kind of debunks and dumps more cold water on the whole push for you need to get the shot. I mean, you're over there spreading it to tigers. What do you spend like 3 minutes in a tiger cage just throwing in some steak? And even then you are spreading it to a tiger. But you're probably fully vaccinated too. So how does that work, man? This whole thing, you guys, is just clown world. Clown world. So yeah, stay away from zoos if you don't want to get sick. Stay away from the tigers, especially. Moving on. This now, speaking of vaccine psychosis and the whole COVID cult, I'm only going to play this because this highlights and underscores a lot of what I've been talking about since the beginning of the vaccination push, the vaccine supremacy, the vaccine segregation and discrimination, and how the people who have gotten the jab have, not everyone, of course, but more than a few people, especially with platforms big like this, have used their vaccination status to thumb their nose at you and look down on you and treat you as an other and a less than, and they're promoting division and hatred. And that's why I've been calling it a cult. So this guy is completely insufferable. So of course, nobody cares what he has to say. Nobody cares about his opinion. But here's Keith Olbermann telling you that he's better than you.
Time to stop coddling the people who won't get the shot. Booster shot. Mission accomplished. And it is time to stop coddling them, the ones who won't get the damn shot already. And our first step, you and I, is symbols, the language we use. We call these people vaccine hesitant, vaccine skeptics, anti-vax. We say they're protesting mandates and passports. They're making a personal choice. They're waiting for more information. They're making a medical decision. Bullshit. They're afraid. They're afraid to get vaccinated. Stop feeding their egos about what they're doing. Stop legitimizing it. Vaccine hesitant, they're afraid. Vaccine skeptics, they're afraid. Anti-vax, they're afraid. They're protesting mandates and passports. They're afraid. They're making a personal choice. They're afraid. They're waiting for more information. Afraid. They're making a medical decision to be afraid.
He's unhinged, y'all. You probably already knew that from some of his other rants. He's hurting inside. He clearly doesn't love himself. This is pure projection. This is self-hatred. And he's using his vaccination status to garner a false sense of moral superiority while shaming you, lashing out at you. Does this change anybody's mind? Anybody that maybe hasn't gotten it yet? Does this make you change your mind? Or does it just confirm that you don't want anything to do with crazy people like this? And him trying to psychoanalyze you, saying why you don't want it, like just basically just downplaying any of your legitimate concerns and questions and hesitancies. Apparently he's smarter than your doctor. If your doctor advised you against it, he's apparently smarter and better than your the medical professional that you seek advice from.
The snowflakes are afraid. Afraid of the vaccine. Afraid of being proved wrong. Afraid of doing what anybody else in the world tells them to do. Afraid of needles. So no more pleasant euphemisms about what's going on here. Apart from the people who have legitimate medical complications about vaccines, we have to stop coddling the morons who will not get the shot. We start by calling them what they are. They are all snowflakes and cowards and idiots and losers. And most importantly, they are afraid.
Oh, that's right. Dehumanizing and, let's name call. Let's promote hatred. Why isn't YouTube taking this down? I mean, this sounds like hate speech to me. It sounds like bullying, threatening, inciting, intimidation. I don't get it. I mean, I'm all for free speech, but I'm just saying, if you're going to enforce it, this would be a good example of somebody that's promoting hate speech and division and segregation and shaming, public shaming. So yeah, Keith Olbermann, not a very good guy. Now here's kind of a feel-good story right here. Here's almost said Joe Biden. Grave mistake, guys. Grave mistake. Joe Rogan, a better Joe. Here's him just smacking CNN right in their mouth. You just love to see it.
Right? Why would they lie and say that's horse dewormer? I can afford people medicine, motherfucker. This is ridiculous. It's just a lie.
I don't think anyone is.
But don't you think that a lie like that is dangerous on a news network when you know that they know they're lying? You know that they know that I took medicine. Like, here it is. This is ivermectin.
You got it with
right
you.
Here. Somebody gave it to me.
All right, hang on. The thing is, we're like going so fast. Like I feel like I'm missing.
Do you think that's a problem that your news network lies?
Well, I don't.
Dude,
what did they say?
They lied and said I was taking horse dewormer. First of all, it was prescribed to me by a doctor.
Yeah.
Along
They
with
shouldn't have said
a
it was
bunch of other medications.
If you got a human pill, because there were people that were taking it, the veterinary medication, and you're not, obviously, you got it from a doctor, so that it shouldn't be called that. Ivermectin can be a very effective medication for parasitic.
Yeah, I don't want to go there. Anyway, you see how he's like, your network lied, and Sanjay's like, huh? What? He had to play dumb. Because this is what happens when you are in a seamless ecosystem of left-wing information, left-wing ideology, people who don't have a nuanced perspective. It's just, this is one way to view this situation. And everybody I know in media, in my personal life, on social media, they all share the same view. So anyone who doesn't share that view is clearly crazy. They're off their rocker. They're conspiracy theory. They don't even try to understand the other side because they don't think that that other side really exists outside of a handful of people. So is he just dumb? Or is he know that he's a liar? If he doesn't know about other treatments and all of that, and he pretends to, or maybe he really is that so far gone, that deep in his own little matrix world that he just doesn't understand that his news network purposely lies. He obviously knows that they lied about Joe Rogan, but what about all the other fake news stories they pushed? Nah, scratch that. This guy knows what he's doing. He knows that they're liars because they've had lawsuits against them for lying, for smearing. Joe Rogan should actually sue them. He's lucky that he doesn't get sued, that their network doesn't get sued. I don't know how it would affect him financially other than he wouldn't have a talk show to go on or whatever. But the point I'm getting to is he works for a network that purposely pushes false information to the masses. CNN is forced down your throat at every airport, doctor's waiting room, different shopping centers, just randomly on TV. CNN is everywhere. So they have probably the biggest megaphone of all because they are every freaking where. And they broadcast through their gigantic megaphone lies, outright lies, blatant lies. They don't issue corrections. They don't come out and apologize, try to correct the record. They have absolutely no integrity whatsoever, and they seem to not care. They present themselves as the most trusted name in news, and in reality, if they would just be honest and be like, we are partisan, we are left-wing, we support the Democrat Party, here are our beliefs, and we're not going to hide it, I would have so much more respect for them because I'm like, hey, you're putting it all out there, and if people want to engage in that, if people want to watch hyper partisan news, go for it. Let them do it. I have no problem with it if you're transparent. But they present themselves as moderate, middle of the road. We just call it like it is. We're open to both sides. The only Republicans or conservatives they let go on their show or on their network are people who are controlled or people who they know aren't going to really be hard-hitting. And that's why you have so many people in the country believing fake news. I know a lot of people that watch CNN. Unfortunately, they don't believe that they're being lied to. They think it's honest and accurate and truthful, and they run their news stories are full of integrity. There's no journalism there. They're just activists. They're just partisan activists, propaganda media. So here's Sanjay on Don Lemon last night.
So very important. I know it's in large part a tongue-in-cheek interview, because it's Joe Rogan and there's a lot you're jockeying back and forth. But he did say something about ivermectin that I think wasn't actually correct about CNN and lying, okay? Ivermectin is a drug that is commonly used as a horse dewormer. So it is not a lie to say that the drug is used as a horse dewormer.
See the spin? See the mental gymnastics? We technically didn't lie because horses do take it. Well, let me tell you something. I had a smoothie this morning and I put oats in my smoothie. I like oats in my smoothie, but some might call that horse food. You get what I'm saying? This is the spin. This is the partisan spin. This is them trying to do a little bit of damage control, but it's not working. Obviously, this was lazy. I mean, technically, horses do take it. So we weren't, you know how they framed it. Joe Rogan takes horse medicine to make him, to discredit it, to make him look crazy, and to just discourage people from, I can't even get into it, but to discourage people from other things that they could be looking at. That's what it is. It's playing gatekeeper. That's why they had to report it that way. But here, let's continue.
I think that's important, and it is not approved for COVID. Correct?
That's right. That's correct. It is not approved for COVID. And you're right. I mean, the FDA even put out a statement saying, basically reminding people, it was a strange sort of message from the FDA, but that said, you're not a horse, you're not a cow, stop taking this stuff, is essentially what they said, referring to ivermectin. Now, I think what Joe's point
that
is,
it has been approved for humans, but not necessarily for COVID.
You can't get to the point. See how they want to shift away from the fact that Joe Rogan said, why does your news network lie? Why do you guys lie? Let's talk about it generally. So they're hung up on this because they feel like it's a way out. It's a way out of getting exposed in front of Joe Rogan's millions of listeners. He has the #1 podcast, I think, in the world, actually. So a lot of people listen to him call out CNN. And this just fuels the Great Awakening, because there's a lot of people who were watching CNN and not knowing that it was fake until they saw the way that they portrayed Joe Rogan. They even showed a picture with a filter of him looking more sick than he actually was. And while they're saying, yes, he took a medicine that was not approved for as a treatment. So what's the point? He got better. So they're just bitter about that. They want it to be right. They want to be like, aha, see, look. Because their narrative, the entire narrative, guys, it's just crumbling. It's collapsing. I mean, you look at Joe Rogan and then look at Oscar De La Hoya. Look at Jesse Jackson. Look at other people that have ended up in the hospital with more serious conditions or symptoms than people like Joe Rogan, and they hate it. Now, whether you want to tie it to the medicine that he took, that's not for me to talk about. I don't care if somebody wants to connect those dots, go for it. But the point is, they lied. They got caught lying. They got exposed and called out for it. And they're just bitter, trying to do some damage control over it. Don Lemon and Sanjay Gupta.
Right. Yeah.
That's correct. It's been used for a parasitic disease, for something it's called river blindness, and it's been very effective for that. But
yeah, I don't want to spend any more time. I made my points on that one. I didn't pre-watch the entire clip, so that's why I don't want to make you guys listen to it. I don't even want to listen to the rest of it if it's not going to add to the points that I just made. So moving on to this $600 threshold that the IRS is going to use to spy on American citizens. Now, ask yourselves this: how many people do you know personally that would be on board with this? Doesn't matter if they support Biden, doesn't matter if they're on the far left or the far right or the center or wherever they are on the political spectrum. Who do you know that, first of all, do they know about this? Secondly, do you know anybody personally that is okay with it? I'm sure there's people that are so just disconnected from this entire situation. They don't see the threat. They don't see how this is a slippery slope and a dangerous precedent. They don't see that. So they probably would take the stance of, well, I got nothing to hide, so I don't care. They would miss the entire point. But who do you know that would be okay with the IRS spying on your transactions under the guise of, we are trying to catch billionaires who cheat the tax codes and circumvent the laws that are on the books. We're trying to catch people that are not paying their fair share. We're trying to catch billionaires by setting a $600 threshold. They expect us to believe that they're not directly funded by billionaires. If I were a billionaire, a corrupt billionaire, I would probably be like, oh, so they're going to try to go after my millions, my billions here. Who can I pay off? Who can I pay off at the IRS? Who can I pay off in Congress to make sure they don't audit me, to make sure I'm good? First of all, I probably have an offshore bank account. My money's way out of touch, way out of reach where they can't access it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be a billionaire. at least not a super savvy one. I wouldn't be a billionaire for long. But I could pay to make that go away. But they're making this sound like, yeah, we're just trying to keep billionaires and really rich people honest. BS. We know this is a lie. They're going to target specifically probably conservatives, people they don't like. You're going to see people, get audited next year if they reveal that they've been audited. Don't be surprised if you see them audit The Blaze or the Daily Wire or Candace Owens. You're going to hear some high profile names get weird letters from the IRS because the banks, and luckily, like I said when I reported on this, the banks are pushing back. There are some people, not nearly enough. I think only 33 Republicans, Lauren Boebert being one of the main, most outspoken members of Congress, to push back on this insane thing that they added to the bill. She's one of the only ones to push back and say this is complete breach of privacy. This violates the Fourth Amendment. This is complete government spying, because the IRS doesn't already have enough of your money. They got to spy. They need more, as if they don't already have ways to catch you not paying taxes. Usually they can catch you. You can't really get away with it. Some people can, and there's people that know how to, put their money in. Actually, it ends up being legal. There's ways to avoid paying taxes. I'm not going to get into it, but there's obviously ways around it. But what they're saying essentially is, we don't trust Americans, so we need to spy on people who have $600 in their account, or people that are making transactions of $600 or more. We don't trust them, so we're going to see what kind of shakedown procedure we can do to get more money, because we don't have enough money. Why can't they just print money? Aren't they already printing money? Why don't they just print to make up for the people they think are cheating on their taxes? The middle class. Because we know damn well they're not going to catch any billionaires over some $600 transaction or $600 in their bank account. These people are such liars. They're such frauds. Listen to Nancy Pelosi.
One of
The way she talks about it.
Better bill that's been proposed is IRS cracking down on some unpaid taxes. Banks are starting to get calls from customers, and they're reporting these calls. They're concerned about this tracking of transactions that is greater than $600. So Americans are starting to be worried about this. Do you think that this pay for of giving the IRS more money to crack down on unpaid taxes is going to stay in the reconciliation bill? And what do you say to Americans who are concerned about that?
Yes. Well, I mean, with all due respect, the plural of anecdote is not data. I've said that before here. Yes, there are concerns that some people have, but if people are breaking the law and not paying their taxes, one way to track them is through the banking measure. I think 600, but that's a negotiation that will go on as to what the amount is.
Of all the people they could have answering that question, how are you going to have her? With her insider trading, her corrupt business deals. See, this isn't right. This needs to be talked about every day. I think everybody should be talking about this every day. How many people do you know that know about this? There are plenty of people I know don't know about this, but they would be pissed. If you can just get enough people to be mad about this, this can go away. All of what's happening right now can go away. You need civil disobedience as far as the lockdowns go. You need as many people as possible talking to their elected officials about what they're going to do to get this, to scrap this entire scheme. This scheme to bankrupt you further, make you more dependent on government. They got to shake you down. That's what this is. This is an IRS, big government shakedown. Not about keeping people honest. They're taking your money away. On the front end, on the back end, they're taxing your money when you make it, when you earn it. You got to pay taxes at the end of the year. You got inflation. So that's the invisible tax. Everybody's paying that right now. And then when you actually make a purchase, you got to pay sales tax on top of property tax and tax on your vehicle. They're taxing everybody to death. And this just makes sure that they can squeeze out every last dime. They don't need anybody being financially independent. So they're going to disrupt your financial well-being any way they can. Shutting down your business, making it impossible for you to access goods, making it extremely expensive when you do access those goods, creating this scarcity. All this is planned. That's what I said, man. Anybody that talks about this and explains it as this is just government incompetence. They're making bad decisions. No, they're not making bad decisions. This is by design. They don't give a damn about anybody. They don't care about American people. Imagine thinking they do. We're doing this for your own good. Nobody asked you to spy on our bank accounts. Why don't you pay more taxes? Why don't you take a pay cut if you actually care? Which we know you don't. Government forced closed everybody's business last year, but they still got their paychecks. And they didn't even work half the year. They were on vacation. This just pisses me off because they're going after everybody. And we need to make everybody aware of this. Everybody needs to be made aware of this. I don't care if they support Biden, if they voted Democrat, if they're lifelong bleeding heart liberals, doesn't matter. I guarantee you, you take enough money away from the average person, they're going to get pissed off. For the people that are out there that are just sleepwalking through all of this chaos going on in the country, I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know how, but let something like this affect them. $600 IRS spying on their bank account and trying to shake them down for tax money. Let that happen to them and let's see how they vote after that. And just the spin. Biden White House Chief of Staff believes inflation and supply chain crisis are high-class problems. Just epic spin right here. Most of the economic problems we're facing, inflation, supply chains, etc., are high-class problems. We wouldn't have had them if the employment rate was still 10%. We would instead have had a much worse problem. So they're saying, hey, this is actually a good thing. More people have money to want to buy things. And because there's so many people with money that want to buy things, it's creating a shortage we wouldn't have if all these people didn't have extra money and want to buy things. There. See, it's not really hard to put a spin, try to put some lipstick on the pig that is this supply chain crisis and this warfare that's being launched on the middle class. It's so redundant to keep bringing it up, but man, this is where we are. They're making people poor. You had more money in your wallet when Trump was in office, and if somehow you have more money now with Biden in office, if that happens to be you, guess what? Your dollar doesn't stretch nearly as far, and you cannot escape that fact. That is a fact. If you don't have less money, the money you do have stretches much thinner. You can't get much with the money now, and they keep on freaking printing it. And of course, they're using welfare as a magnet to bring more people into the country to siphon off of the same system. But hey, positive spin, guys. Look at the bright side. These are high class problems. Don't you just feel high class when you go to the pump? I spent $62 to fill my truck today. Doesn't that feel like a high class problem? Hey, at least you had $62 to spend. People are they're just so evil, man. Another insurrection, guys. I don't know why they're not reporting it as such. I told you about the climate change protesters that stormed the White House, or they obviously couldn't get exactly to the White House, but there was an arrest made. There was some unrest. They had to set up a barricade and block people, keep them back. That was on Monday. You had indigenous people, tribes, or whatever, and then climate change activists out there. And then you had another one just yesterday, and we got the videos to prove it. Violent leftists attempt to storm Department of Interior, demand end of fossil fuel use before winter. You can't make this up, man. Useful idiots. Make us poor. Make us poor. Make it harder for us. End fossil fuel by December. It makes no sense. So see, that's not an insurrection. I don't think that doesn't look like an insurrection to me. So I'm not making that argument, but you get what I'm saying here. People are locked up right now for walking on the Capitol grounds. There are people who got arrested that didn't even go inside the building. There are people who are facing charges because they didn't go inside the building, but they were there. They have a watch list. So these people can get right up on the buildings and demand, like, get all threatening and intimidating. And yeah, nobody's even talking about this. Where's the media on this? Okay, this video won't play. I don't know why I'm having issues today, guys. I'm having a case of the Fridays with my media. I don't understand it. But this was just another video of these activists, climate change activists, that are saying, make us poor, do it now. We're sick of fossil fuel. We're sick of cheap gas. Please make the problem worse. Just completely clueless, just zombie-like. Kind of fitting since we're in the month of October. This is zombie themed. This is Walking Dead, Walking Brain Dead. That's what it is. Demanding that their lives be made harder, more difficult. End fossil fuel now, so our heating expenses can go up this winter, so gas prices can be higher. They're begging for it, begging for the chains of their own poverty and enslavement. Imagine being that person. Yeah, I wanted to play the other video. There wasn't much to it, but I guess it's just not going to happen today, guys. Moving along. New York City judge prevents Long Island father from visiting his 3-year-old daughter in Manhattan during custody dispute unless he gets the COVID vaccine or has weekly tests. So another activist judge overstepping their jurisdiction, their authority, and just being a medical zealot. Just, you can't see your daughter unless you get this medical procedure. We covered a story about this, similar to this, in Chicago, that actually got reversed. The judge reversed that order and allowed the woman to, because she lost custody of her son because she had not gotten the jab. And now you got a New York City judge that is blocking a father from seeing his daughter, his 3 daughters, unless he gets the shot. So this is dangerous stuff, man. And I think the Chicago one got reversed because there was so much backlash. Local news reported on it. The community was outraged, so it made the judge look bad, and he reversed that ruling. So maybe this will happen here, but there's more than one of these cases. There's probably more than 5. I heard when I actually reported on the first one, people are like, no, there's a case like this in Ohio right now. There was one in New Mexico. So I have no doubt this is going on all around the country, but only a handful of them are being discussed right now. Only a handful of them are public. But this is absolutely just, I want my country back, man. I don't recognize this country anymore. This is crazy. You can lose custody and visitation rights to your own children unless you get this medical procedure that this judge wants you to get. And don't bother trying to sue Big Pharma if anything happens, because you can't do that either. They're protected by the demons that run our government. In journalism, oh man, Katie Couric, did you guys hear about this story? This is interesting. She decided to omit from her interview with RBG, based Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was based in what she said here, but she decided to omit from her interview from 2016 something very based that RBG said. The story that she published, she didn't include the quote, from Ruth Bader Ginsburg saying that refusing to stand for the national anthem was dumb and disrespectful. Now, the actual quote is somewhere. I couldn't find it in this article, but the quote she said in the quote, RBG said that she didn't like people kneeling for the national anthem because it turned a blind eye to what this country meant to their grandparents and their grandparents' parents, or something to that effect. Something that would be unifying, not partisan, something basically along the lines of, let's try to come together under this flag. This flag means a lot to a lot of people. We're all very blessed and lucky to be here. This is the best global position you can be in, the United States of America. It's not an accident. It's not a mistake. It's not an experiment. It's intelligent design, this creation from God, this earth really, but the United States, where you have the most freedom. You can live your best life right here. Nobody anywhere else in the world has accomplished more than people who live right here. And to disrespect it in this way, RBG, believe it or not, wasn't a fan. But hey, Katie Couric, she's playing gatekeeper. She left that out. You don't need to hear that. And I believe, well, I don't think these are Katie Couric's words, but she obviously bragged about it. She wanted the world to know after the fact, after RBG is gone, wanted the world to know, yeah, I left that out. Here's what Ruth Bader Ginsburg actually thought of NFL players kneeling during the national anthem. Here's what she actually thought, but I left that part out because it just wasn't good enough. It didn't help with the narrative, the ongoing narrative, and it definitely would do damage to the agenda, the movement that America is so rotten to the core and evil. We can't have one of our own speaking highly of this country or criticizing people who disrespect the country. We can't have that. So she left it out on purpose. Actually kind of just bragging about it. So that's what you call not journalism. And she's got a long history. She worked in mainstream media. Katie Couric is not very solid. And it's interesting because this interview was in 2016, which is when I believe that's when the kneeling started. So she left that out on purpose. A base statement from RBG. She just let it go. Ted Cruz tweeted, Katie Couric deems RBG unworthy because she wasn't sufficiently woke. She was woke in many ways. Another thing they don't tell you about RBG, she was not in favor of packing the courts. She didn't believe in that. But see, that's inconvenient to the SJWs who followed her and supported her and loved her dearly. They leave that part out. She was not in favor of expanding the Supreme Court and packing it full. Even though she was a left-wing judge, she was not in favor of that. So yeah, they leave all these things out because it doesn't help their causes. And it's just gatekeeping from people who call themselves journalists, selectively editing clips, leaving out key information, lying to you in real time, trying to gaslight you into oblivion. And they wonder why people don't trust them. They get mad at Trump. They got mad at Trump. He's inciting hatred towards the media. Right, because you guys didn't do it. It's all Trump. It's the orange man's fault. That's why people were saying CNN sucks. It's because Trump told them to do it. It's not because CNN actually sucks. Moving along. Norway, bow and arrow suspect in care amid mental health concerns. So Norway, who's a country that's really tough on guns. I don't think they have a lot of guns there, if any, outside of the government. They had a guy, a suspect, a psychopath, mass murder people with bow and arrow. So, but there's no guns. So that obviously means that that's good. People won't die if you just get rid of guns. gee, if only someone had a gun in this situation. This guy is going old school, sniping people with a bow and arrow, killed 5 people. Very sad, very tragic. Rest in peace to the victims of this heinous crime. He is now undergoing psychiatric evaluation, so I guess he'll probably be able to escape true justice if they deem him mentally unfit or something like that. I really don't know how it works, but he's gonna get different treatment than he would otherwise. And so there's a couple pieces to this story that are interesting. Number one, the guns. That's the obvious thing. There's no guns in Norway, and yet they have these shootings. They have these killings. You have people in the UK, you hear about it all the time, knife attacks. See, you can't legislate evil out of society. Right? The school shooter in Texas who got to go scot-free the next day and had a welcome home party. He could easily go and shoot someone else if he wants, but he would have committed that crime whether he had a baseball bat, a knife, a blowtorch. When people are trying to commit acts of evil, they're not going to look and see what's legal. They're not going to be like, well, I'm not allowed to own a firearm and I don't have my concealed carry permit, so that's going to be a problem. And this is a gun-free zone, so I can't go in there and shoot people because the law and the sign says it's not okay. It's not allowed. So I don't want to break that law. No criminals, 0 criminals on earth are going to abide by these laws. But when that Texas mass shooting happened in that school, they were so quick to say, this is why we need comprehensive gun legislation. Because their agenda is grab guns, take guns, disarm the American population, knowing damn well those laws, red flag laws, all the laws that they're trying to pass to restrict gun rights are going to only affect law-abiding citizens. Only. It's not going to affect people committing acts of terror. And it doesn't matter if it's the United States, it doesn't matter if it's Norway or the UK, they're going to commit an act of evil. And so this is the first mass killing in Norway since I think 2011 when somebody detonated a bomb and killed 30 people. See, they don't need a gun. They're going to commit this evil no matter what you do. So that's an interesting aspect to the story. No gun involved, but still killed 5 people. The other aspect of it is he was apparently a Muslim convert who had a record already. He'd been flagged for suspected radicalization, and I don't know what his motive was of this, but it's interesting that they're not really talking about it. It's not being covered. So we don't know if this was radical Islamic terrorism, if he was motivated by that at all. But that's something you're not going to hear much about because he is apparently a part of a protected class. And I don't know if he's an immigrant or not. I'm thinking maybe if he's a Muslim convert, maybe he lived in Norway his whole life. But you know damn well, you know this for a fact. If he was an immigrant from Syria, if he was fleeing some refugee crisis that was probably caused by the U.S. military-industrial complex, but that's another story. If he's one of those refugees and then committed this, they would have to bury it. They would absolutely have to bury it because it looks bad. It flies in the face of their migration is a human right, and we must take on all these refugees. It is our duty as the Western world to take on these refugees. So you just really, all the gun grabbers out there, what do you have to say about a bow and arrow attack and knife attacks? So once you ban guns, if you get let's wave a magic wand for you. Hey, we're going to ban all guns. Nobody gets to have a gun anymore. So what are you going to do when they start using bats, blowtorches, machetes, different hammers, different weapons? What are you going to do then? Well, we need to ban this. We need to ban that. We need to. See? They're just continue to just shift the goalposts. Again, you cannot legislate this evil out of society. All right, we're almost done here. This is something kind of funny. This is a Halloween display that has triggered some people here. Now, it's a Halloween display of a vaccine clinic, so I'll just play it. I'm not giving any commentary on it, so I shouldn't hopefully get in trouble. This was already on YouTube, so hey, YouTube, this is already on your platform.
Oh snap. They did it for real.
The original audio didn't record for some reason, but the whole time I'm just saying how at a loss for words I am that I saw this today. I don't know if this is the most anti-vax shit I've ever seen or the most tone-deaf shit. They're basically made a haunted house of a vaccine clinic. And the reason I don't know if this is tone-deaf or not is because they have signs that say death by the flu. And they have a sign that says death by car accident, which if you don't know, this haunted house is in Burbank.
Nothing like freedom of speech on your front lawn, guys.
They did it for...
You'll love to see it. Freedom of speech on your front lawn. So that if you couldn't make out what was going on in the video, that was a vaccine clinic turned haunted house or vice versa. So they had skeletons in there and they had some signs. And I think it's funny. But see, people get so butthurt. They can't handle a joke. So how long before this becomes, you can't have certain Halloween decorations in your lawn? You know it's coming. It's hate speech. It's a hate crime. You're not allowed to do that. I'm sure there's plenty of Halloween displays. I bike around my neighborhood almost every day, and I've seen some really creative Halloween displays, but none that are also providing commentary on our current clown world situation with the medical procedure and the virus. You would think there'd be more of that out there, but a vaccine clinic haunted house, I think, is hilarious. And it's even more hilarious that it did its job. It got somebody triggered because people are so butthurt. We're just, where's my country, man? Too many softies here. It's just annoying. It's like toughen up. Which brings me to the very last topic here. Hannah Gadsby slams Netflix CEO over Dave Chappelle special. I got to be honest. I don't like Netflix anymore. I canceled Netflix after they released Cuties and promoted it. They promoted child pedophilia. They're just pandering to pedophiles with the Cuties show. Disgusting. But we had a friend that signed into her Netflix account when she came to visit. So we have Netflix. And when I heard about the Dave Chappelle stand-up and the backlash, I had to see it. It felt like treasure. Like this is something this is a historic moment right now because that's where we are. Where I was eager, anticipating a Dave Chappelle stand-up because he was railing against the orthodoxy. You're not allowed to criticize these people. It's wrong. You're a homophobe. He's been called a white supremacist too. One of the last true comedians that still is funny and is not politically correct. Dave Chappelle, so I had to see it. One of the last bastions of comedy. Comedy has been killed because everything has been sacrificed at the altar of political correctness. So I love that Dave Chappelle stood his ground because this is like his second or third stand-up in the Netflix series. And each time he's upset the mob. The woke brigade has gone after him each time. And Netflix, surprisingly, they're standing by him, even though this comedian, Hannah Gadsby, wrote a blistering response to Netflix, their CEO, after they stood by their decision to leave his stand-up on their platform. It's just like people are so frail now. See, politics is downstream from culture, which is why you got all these crazies in Congress, because they're pandering to people, to the minority. It is a minority of people that are really upset and butthurt and bent out of shape over Dave Chappelle saying words that were funny and true. They're so upset. You need to cancel him. I mean, cancel culture is more like cancer culture. It's bad. And they just destroy everything. If they don't like it, they want it banned. If they do like it, it's a human right and somebody should pay for it. That's pretty much how it works. And so I was really excited to see this stand up. I thought it was really not one of his best ones. I mean, I didn't laugh a ton during it because he was kind of serious. He told some serious stories. I don't want to ruin it for anybody if you haven't seen it yet, but he told some pretty good stories that were heartfelt and to the point where I'm surprised he didn't like break out into tears. One of his friends died that was trans. So he told that story. And he's not a transphobe. He's not a homophobe. He joked about it, but he's clearly not. And the people that are so upset because we won't play their game. That's the thing. You get labeled a homophobe, a transphobe real quick. Real quick. If you don't use someone's pronouns, that's the thing. It's not just live and let live. They want you to change how you live to accommodate them. That's not how the world works. That's never how the world is going to work. Where everyone needs to start talking like this. Here are the new terms I've come up with, and the world needs to start using these terms. These people will never be happy. If you think that that's the way that the world works, you think that you can control speech to the point where you're not allowed to say this and this and this. And when you talk to me, you got to say this and this and this. And if you don't, I'm going to be mad and freak out and flip out on you. These are some of the least happy people in the world. They're mad that they don't have the ability to control what others say, do, think, and believe. And so this stand-up needs to remain on Netflix. We need more of it. I know that there's more comedians that are afraid to be bold and tell jokes because they don't want to be canceled. Actually, I think the reverse will happen. I think if any comedian stands up, gets back to telling jokes, make fun of everybody, I think that they'd be pleasantly surprised why they may get canceled amongst their peers. The people will stand with them. And we're the ones that matter because we're the ones that consume all the content. So we're the ones that actually would pay to go see a Dave Chappelle stand up or a Tim Allen or whoever, whatever comedian you can think of, whoever you like. If they've been woke, fully woke, embrace the new culture, cancer culture, if they've embraced that, or if they're just gun shy, they don't want to tiptoe around certain topics. If they were to actually do it, they would get, I just think they would get much more, they would be embraced by the majority because we are the majority. It's just the squeaky wheel gets the grease. It's the ones with the megaphone, they're the minority. That's why they're shouting. That's why they're yelling at you because they know they're in the minority. The majority of people don't want to change language and biological reality to accommodate 5 people. They just don't. The majority of people are not on board with that. And that's why you have them yelling through the megaphone. That's why they're shouting. That's why they're lashing out. Because they think like, I'm here, roar, listen to me. And it just has the opposite effect. It just turns people off. It just builds resentment. It just causes more hatred and division. It actually has the opposite effect. So this actor or this comedian, I've never even heard Hannah Gatsby. Maybe I should know who it is. I don't know. Trying to pressure Netflix, that's a dangerous thing. I'm glad they're keeping it up. So that's it, guys. That's all the topics I have. I am beat. I am ready to start my weekend. But I want to talk to the people a little bit before I head out. Make sure, you guys, that you have given this a thumbs up. Please do that. I want to engage in the chat just for a few minutes. We obviously went way past an hour today, but I don't mind it. So I want to engage in the chat a little bit and then we'll wrap up. I see some Let's Go Brandon in there. Yeah, tomorrow is Let's Go Brandon Day. It's not Saturday. It's Let's Go Brandon Day. And I think it's even extended to Sunday now. There's some NFL stadiums that have been chanting it. I told you when I went to a game like 3 weeks ago, they started actually, this might have been before the Let's Go Brandon. This was the original Let's Go Brandon. They were chanting at the stadium. But I think that, we'll see some more of that tomorrow. College game day. You're seeing signs now when they do the college game day. Lou Holtz and the people that do the college game day. There's signs right behind them. Let's go, Brandon. It's become a cool little inside joke where if you know, you know. So that's kind of a good thing. Even though it doesn't fully represent the sentiment that most of us feel right now. Again, the majority. The majority. Somebody said chat was lit. I wish I had the capacity to read the chat while also reading the articles and do it. I'm sure there's a way to do it. It just would, I would be pausing, taking too many breaks, lose my train of thought. But I would love to see what was said in the chat. I know that I have enough moderators to take care of the trolls. They eat the trolls. But it would be nice to engage in the chat along the way a little bit. Sometimes I try to do it. Rachel says, Mike Nificent is my hero. Thank you. That's high praise. I don't know what to say. I'm just talking into a microphone. It's pretty much it. Sean says, I personally think that the Gruden firing was based on the FJB chants by college crowds. The left doesn't care about the difference. They just want to send a message to football fans. So the John Gruden firing, and they've now removed him from Madden. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers removed him from their like Ring of Fame. They're basically depersoning him. They're making sure he doesn't exist. You can still find his old interviews on YouTube, but I assume those will be pulled down because he just committed cardinal sin. It just seems like, you know what, this is they went through, I guess, 600,000 emails, a ton of emails they went through. And all they found were like 3 emails from John Gruden. And they leaked that to the New York Times. I'm saying there's more there. See, like a sacrificial lamb or something. It just, there's more to it than what we're being told. Corruption runs deep in the NFL. And find it hard to believe he's the only coach that has said something vulgar. I mean, think about it. You're trying to hype up some grown men to go tackle each other. It's probably saying all kind of stuff. But I think, you know, the way that he described Roger Goodell and the way that he described Joe Biden probably is what got him canned, and he got to resign. They didn't outright fire him. He got to resign, and he's got a nice little golden parachute. He's owed tens of millions of dollars, so he's going to be fine. He won't be going through any financial hardship. But hey, maybe, just maybe, we haven't heard the last of him. I don't know. He's obviously got to be a conservative with some of his stances. And I'm not referring to some of the things that he said, but more about what he thinks about Biden and just the way the NFL is going. Mike, you don't have to answer, but did you look at the $20 bill? No. What is it about the $20 bill? I know what happens when you fold the $20 bill in a certain way. You have to tell me more about that. Lil 717 says, much love, Mike Nificent. Appreciate you for being here. Have I met Trump? No, I haven't. But he knows who I am. He 100% knows who I am. He watches Right Side. He's seen us before. Trump knows me. But it would be great to meet Trump. Hello from the bayous of Louisiana. Y'all had a rough one this year. I don't know why the hurricanes go towards Louisiana. I got a lot of family in that state. So I'm grateful that none of the hurricanes impacted them. Bat, that is awesome. Hold on. Keep in mind that Gruden also criticized Biden. Yeah, I covered that. What's next? Lombardi is racist? Yeah. I mean, if they're gonna here, the NFL is so inconsistent. They're trying to be Puritans now, and all they could do was, sacrifice John Gruden. What about the players, the domestic violence? Don't they not have a history of that? They have let players back on the field. There's players in the NFL right now that beat their wives, beat their girlfriends. lot of them have priors, lots of lengthy rap sheet, which that shouldn't necessarily hold you back from going to play a sport. If you're good at it, it's fine. But how are you going to be all sanctimonious and moral over John Gruden with some private emails when you got people that have had sex assault allegations against them, rape charges against them, definitely domestic violence, possession of firearms, DUIs in the offseason? That's when NFL players get in all the trouble in the offseason. But you don't see a big deal. They don't get lambasted and thrown out of the league. They'll get a slap on the wrist, a fine, a suspension, come back. But John Gruden's private emails, we got to go public with it, and we got to distance ourselves from him. Got Randy Moss crying on TV. They always got to get a black man crying on TV. They always got to make the black man look super weak and fragile and frail on television. Crying over private emails. It's like sad. Michael Vick. Michael Vick killed dogs. Okay. They let him back in the NFL. He served time in prison. He showed remorse. He explained away why he did it and the culture behind dog fighting and all of that stuff, which is unforgivable. But at least he cleaned his image up. He became an advocate. Some people will never forgive him for what he did, but it's not for me to never forgive him. I mean, that's between him and God. And as far as I'm concerned, he cleaned his act up. He cut his braids, went back in the NFL, actually had a successful career, stayed out of trouble. He never had any trouble before that. But the NFL got called racist because they wouldn't give washed up Colin Kaepernick a job when he was divisive. There's so much I could talk about with the NFL. It didn't used to be this way. That's one area of American culture where we need to make America great again. Go back to sports that did not have politics in it. Stop acting all woke and pure and moral if you're not going to enforce it across the board. You're going to take out John Gruden. Make him take the fall. He's a fall guy. I think, yeah, like you said, I think they're just mad because of his stance and what he said about Roger Goodell. That would get him canned. And then Joe Biden. That email leaked. Everyone try this yourself. Turn a $20 bill upside down and put thumb over the neck and look at the face. He is wearing a mask. You're kidding. No, right? I don't know. Has anyone done that? Has anyone heard of that? I don't even have cash. I don't carry cash. But I'm sure I can pull up an image. Matter of fact, let's see if we can find an image of it. Since I'm still here, let's see. $20 bill. Let's see if it's a thing. No, these are all. What did you say? If you fold it, it looks like a mask. I don't know, man. I don't even know where I'm at now. I'm on some weird website. This doesn't explain much. I don't know. I thought for sure if what you're saying is real, there would be images of it galore. There's not of anyone that folded the 20. Maybe this image right here. See, I can't make anything out from it. I can't make anything out from that photo. But if anyone's heard about this, I guess it's interesting. Kind of like the 9/11 thing. 9 plus 11 equals 20. You fold it. It's shaped like an airplane. One side says United. One side says American. And there's smoke coming up from one side, exactly where the plane hit. Just, I don't know what to make of that. Just try to wake me with your bad coffee. I'm not drinking it. I don't know what you're talking about there. What will become of us when we take a hand in our own creation and trying to create the new man? Will we condemn the old? That's a deep question right there. There's a lot of people that have a lot of power and are trying to use science to undermine God's will and play God and mock God and try to live forever and merge with machine, which is man's creation. I think that there's that's going on. I think that that's pretty telling. Like everything that they're promoting, everything they're trying to jam down our throat is contrary to the laws of nature. It's contrary to God's law. It's contrary to what's already ordained. I just feel like it's purely evil. That's a good question, though. I just did, and I don't see anything. So, yeah, I don't know if that's a thing with the $20 bill. Someone said some really strange comments in the chat. You never know what you're going to get from the chat. There's different people each time I do this, and I like it. I like the diversity that's in the chat. And see, I would have to scroll all the way back up to get the chat from when I was actually covering some of the topics. Someone said religion of peace strikes again. If you're referring to the bow and arrow attack in Norway, yeah, these kind of mass events of evil and attacks on people, it really contradicts and it hurts the narrative of people who think that guns are the problem, people that want to blame inanimate objects, specifically the gun. And I don't even want to get into the weeds on that because it's really easy to Swiss cheese their argument on gun control. So, yeah, guys, I guess I'm about to wrap up. Who has black privilege? Someone says he has black privilege. I don't know who you're referring to. Oh, that was a while ago. Somebody said that a while ago. Let me get all the way to the bottom. Salty Army in the building. Is Paint the Trump in the chat? There he is. Let's go, Brandon. What's up, Jeff? Y'all subscribe to Paint the Trump if you haven't already. Do it. Someone said, so awesome. Love your channel. Yeah, Paint the Trump is in the chat. Mike, play Nikki Haley's speech on YouTube to Republican Party. Why? She's a rhino. She's thinking about running for president. She's part of that old school Republican Party. She's just a rhino. She's not an America First person, politician, whatever you want to call her. You can see right through it. They're mad that this Trump movement won't go away. The people that supported Trump still feel the same way. And there's millions of us there. That's not going away. They're mad about it. They're mad. They want their controlled opposition party back. The ones that cater to the wealthy donor class. You think it's a coincidence that all of the established media, academia, entertainment, news outlets, celebrities, entertainers, Hollywood, everybody, they all hated Trump. And while they hated Trump, they really hated you because you were doing better when he was in office. Now that he's not in office and the walls are kind of closing in on you, they feel better and more optimistic about the way things are going. As they're squeezing your finances out of your bank account, out of your wallet, labeling you domestic terrorists, coming after you with the Department of Justice. They're going to audit the hell out of you next year. They feel like things are going better. They were upset when you had more money in your wallet or your bank account or your purse and gas prices were low and affordable and there was record job growth and booming economy, stock market was great. They were upset. Now they're good. Coincidence, maybe? I don't know. Thank you for the super chat, Aaron. I will be back next week, Monday through Friday. I figured out that after I travel, after I do a rally, don't expect me to stream the next day. That's my fault. I thought I could handle it. No, I need a full day of R&R before I can get back to it. When I'm traveling, then there's no rallies that have been announced coming up for the rest of the year, so which is kind of a bummer. But next year, I feel like it's going to be just he's going to hit the ground running next year. Next year we got midterms. Going to be campaigning hard against these rhinos. Need them gone. Would be awesome. Team Trump and Owens 2024. Salty stream tonight. Yep. The Salty Cracker. He's streaming tonight. I think he does it on Fridays. I try to tune in when I can, but Fridays are family night for me. So I really try to unplug from politics. So with that said, guys, I'm wrapping this stream up. I want to thank every last one of you for tuning in. Please give this a thumbs up. Make sure that the best thing you can do right now is just give this stream a thumbs up. Help it get seen by more people. That's what we really need over here. So please do that. God bless you. Make sure that you sub to this channel if you're new. Search Mike Nificent 813. That's my second channel. I need as many people to subscribe to that backup channel as possible. Also, find me on Telegram. I do post a lot on Telegram. Just search Mike Nificent 813. Clout Hub, Gab, Getter. On Getter, I think I'm just Mike Nificent. But search for me. I'll pop up on all the social media platforms. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless you. I will see you next week. Catch you in the next stream.